Now that I've taught you how to make a slip knot, and we'll review that again, take your tail and then the yarn that is connected to your ball, you twist, you grab the ball yarn, you pull it through. The next lesson is how to make a foundation chain. So take your needle, your hook, place it in your loop, and let's begin. Alright, so the most important and most difficult part of crocheting is knowing what kind of tension to put on this strand. If there was no tension on it, if I would just bring it around the thing, it would just flop around, and you have to pull it so that way you can grab it with your hook like that. Because if I didn't have any tension, I don't even know where the yarn would go. It wouldn't go anywhere. So what you need to do is you need to make this hand right here. You're going to grab the yarn, you're going to pinch it with your pinky. That's tension point 1. Your middle finger is tension point 2. And then around your finger, front to back, is tension point 3. So I'm mostly pinching it here, and I'm pulling it with my fingers, so that way this is my working yarn right here. Everything that I'm going to do is going to be in this section here. A lot of people want to go like this and have a death grip on it, and or they want to bring the yarn around like this, but then when you let go, it just flops around. So you don't want that. You need to keep a constant tension with your left hand. Now this is I'm right-handed, so this is for right-handed crocheters. But anyway, I'm going to grab some more yarn. So when I grab it, I'm just going to grab it and point my finger. So that way I have enough tension to pull it, not too tight, but enough to keep it to my left side. Okay? So to begin your chain, what you need to do is you're going to yarn over, which I'm going to be using that a lot during these lessons. Yarn over, also in the patterns, it's abbreviated as YO, but the yarn over is back to front. You will never, they say never say never. Well, I'm saying never. You'll never go front to back. In any crochet stitch I've ever done, in the years I've been doing this, I have never gone front to back. And people always forget, and they mess up, and they wonder why their stuff doesn't look right. It's because you went this way. And you can't even hook stuff that way. I don't even know how to hook anything going that way. But if you go back to front, that is a yarn. You're going over the hook. So you go yarn over, back to front, never front to back, but back to front. You want to take your thumb and your middle finger, and you're going to grab the slip knot that you made. You're going to tug on it a little bit. You're going to pull down. So as I slide my needle, it's going to grab this yarn, and you're going to pull it through that loop. Okay? So my camera will sharpen a little bit. It's not really wanting to. That's my first chain. Going to yarn over. I'm going to pull. I'm continually pulling down with my thumb and my middle finger. I'm tugging down. I'm going to pull this through that second loop. Okay? Now I have two. Now each loop that you make has to be pushed onto this gauge. There's about an inch and a half of this needle makes every loop that you make the same size. So if you keep it down here and you pull real tight, it's going to be a really tiny loop, but you have to push it up here. So as I was saying, every time you make a loop, you need to push it onto this gauge. Each needle has a letter associated with the size, including the millimeters. Now, like I said, this is not really wanting to focus very well. There you go. 3.75 millimeters. So this diameter is 3.75 millimeters. And of course, they can be smaller or bigger. But when you tighten it real tight on the edge here, that's not 3.75 millimeters. This is 3.75 millimeters. And all your loops need to be 3.75 millimeters. Or the size, I guess this is an F. This is an F needle. So here I have 2 chains. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to tug this down, and I'm going to pull this loop through. Now I have 3. I'm going to yarn over, tug down, pull through. Now I have 4. I'm going to continue until I have 1,000,000 chains. I like to tell people, okay, keep going until you hit 1,000 and you'll be a perfect chain maker. Now, you have to make sure that your chains are consistent. These are all even. Now, if I was to pull this too much, this chain is a lot bigger than these chains here. Or if I wasn't to push my chain onto the gauge here, this would be really small. That would be a really small chain. You can't even get your needle into that. So you got to make sure. Now, if I was going to pull too hard, these chains are much longer than these down here. All right. So that's why it's imperative that you snugly pull the string and push it onto your gauge. So that way each chain is the same size. So if you can see the difference there, you always push it to the gauge. You always keep this, always snugly pull this to make sure that each loop is 3.75 millimeters or whatever size that your needle is. If it's 5 millimeters, then it'd be a little bigger. But this needle is 3.75. So we're going to make loops that size. So, continue, yarn over from back to front, back to front. Now, if you work your right hand, you can twist it backwards, grab the yarn, pull it through, and you're just using your right hand while the yarn slides through your left. I can usually get about 7 chains before I need to bring my fingers back up here. Okay, so all these are even. These are my uneven ones. And here's my slip knot. Okay. So if you're going to make a scarf, don't mind the uneven chains here. If you're going to make a scarf, this is a pretty decent width. You would do about, 30 to 40 chains wide. And this would be your bottom row. And you're going to make your chain, and you're going to turn. And you're going to go back down this way. You're going to turn, and you're going to go back down that way. You're going to turn. You're going to go back down this way. And the next lesson will be how to do a single crochet. But as far as this lesson goes, And I'm going to pull this out. To my slip knot. Show you one more time. Around the back and through. Back to front and through. Yarn over and through. And continue on until you meet the amount of change you need for your pattern, or until you meet the width of the project you're making, like a scarf or something like that. And that's how you do the chain.